And JN Money.
From abroad to yard.
Fast, affordable, convenient. Doctor's Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctor's Hospital. Always there for you. Call 949-6066. And Cayman Airways. Call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama. And Kirk Market. Experience a world of choice.
We ask our listeners and viewers to avoid any statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use indecent language or make any statement that is false or misleading. Call 1-800-534-8255, 949-6990, 949-8037, or WhatsApp us on 925-3261.
Live from Radio Cayman Studio.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Hear from your government officials, independents, and the opposition on issues that matter to you.
For the Record.
Engage in an open dialogue between residents and lawmakers.
With Orrett Connor.
Informative, impartial, insightful.
This is For the Record.
For the Record. 1-800-534-8255. Your calls, your input. This is For the Record. And now, your host, Orrett Connor.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, O land of soft, fresh breezes and verdant trees so fair. Today is Monday, the 9th day of September, 2024, right here in the beautiful Cayman Islands. We hope and we trust that everyone had a restful, peaceful, enjoyable weekend. Those of you who are on our roads, whether you're a pedestrian, a cyclist, or if you're operating any type of motorized vehicle, we urge you to please be extremely cautious. Ensure that you observe the rules of the road. Remember, the life you save may just be your own. For those of you who are celebrating a birthday today, or if you've celebrated one over the past few days, we want to wish you a happy birthday or a belated happy birthday, whichever is applicable. Those of you who have lost loved ones, we want to extend our sincere condolences to you. We hope and we trust that your faith will help to carry you through these extremely challenging times, and that the memories of your loved ones will be a blessing. Those of you who are ill and are either at home or at a medical facility here in the Cayman Islands or overseas, we do wish you a speedy recovery. So, folks, I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman, and by extension, For the Record, into your homes, into your vehicles, as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, wherever that may be. As you know, For the Record is a show produced by the staff and management of Radio Cayman, and it is geared towards keeping you abreast of issues as they arise and play out on the local, regional, and international scene. I am your host, Orrett Connor, and you're welcome to join me every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 7:30 a.m. until 10 a.m. During that period, our phone lines are open. Our toll-free number provided courtesy of Flow. That toll-free number, 1-800-534-8255, also 949-8037, 949-6990. WhatsApp number 925-3261. And who's behind the controls waiting to take your calls? None other than that beautiful radio voice of Miss Susan Watson. So the phone lines will be open. We will have guests in the studio after the 8 o'clock news. Meanwhile, for those of you celebrating a birthday, or if you've celebrated one over the past few days, or maybe even if you're going to be celebrating one tomorrow like Lord Graham, we want to remind you that For the Record birthday shout-outs brought to you by Coca-Cola, who are proud to support your birthday shout-outs. Coca-Cola, available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga Wholesalers. You should accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. So, folks, let's look at the birthdays. Today, we have Mr. Joel Scott Jr. celebrating his birthday. Also, Jerome Rodriguez celebrating a birthday today. Yesterday, we had Chrissy Dixon celebrating her birthday. Also, Ruby Scott celebrating her birthday yesterday as well. Like I said before, Lord Graham celebrating his birthday tomorrow. Aaron Borden also celebrating birthday tomorrow. And we have another birthday being celebrated today. So the family of Liam Hennessy, they're sending happy birthday greetings. They're sending happy birthday greetings to him. Sorry? Oh, okay, got you. Yes. Liam Hennessy, happy birthday greetings going out to him from his family and, of course, his grandma, none other than Miss Martha Watler, right here at Radio Cayman as well. So, Liam, all of your family sending happy birthday greetings to you. They love you, and your grandma's nothing but smiles, a big wide smile across her face this morning right here in the studio as well. So, folks, if you know someone who's celebrating a birthday, please share that information with us. WhatsApp number 925-3261. Of course, the birthday shout-outs brought to you by Coca-Cola. They're proud to support your birthday shout-outs. Coca-Cola available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga Wholesalers. You should accept no substitutes, but taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. Also, we see that Dana Morris and Miss Erlene Hunt, they're both celebrating their birthdays today. Miss Erlene and Dana Morris. Miss Erlene, one of the nicest persons in the whole world. She's celebrating a birthday today along with Dana Morris. And greetings are coming from all of the family and friends. And we hope that you enjoy your birthdays, both of you, Miss Dana Morris and Miss Erlene Hunt. And we have some more coming in. As they come in, we will give the big shout out to them. We have Allison Borden, Miss Allison Borden, who's celebrating her birthday today as well. And birthday greetings are coming from a friend. The friend hasn't included their name here, but if they want to include their name, just send that on to us and we will include it as well. Meanwhile, it is just Miss Allison Borden's birthday, and a friend is sending birthday greetings to her as well. Lots of birthdays in September. Lots of birthdays in September as well. And we hope that everyone stays safe. We hope that whatever you do, that you ensure that you do it in moderation as well. We know that some people like to make a big deal about their birthdays. We know that at one point in time, when a job was a real job, where you felt that when you were on the job, you were like at home. All of your colleagues at work, they were like family, and their businesses would give you either half day or the whole day off for your birthday as well. Not sure if that occurs these days now, because everyone is so concerned about the bottom line in terms of profits and everything. We don't get too much of that. I'm told that those in the civil service get a half day, but I would imagine that managers and heads of departments and chief officers must have a little bit of wiggle room, a little bit of flexibility, where they could probably give you the whole day as well. We know that there are some people who are still working from home, Personally, I believe that many people are taking advantage of that, and they are abusing it as well. So I guess if you're working from home and it is your birthday, you don't get an extra day for that, because for some people they're literally at home, but what exactly are they doing? Like I said, there are those who believe that it is being, the whole work from home thing is being abused as well. You heard the deputy premier. He was in the studio on Friday. He was also with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks, and I want to share with you a release again. And of course, he spoke about the overseas travel and the industry engagements that he would be involved in during his travels. So in continuing the Cayman Islands' efforts to keep international stakeholders updated on the strength of a regulatory and commercial framework for financial services, Deputy Premier Honorable Andre Ebanks, Member of Parliament, is leading delegations to the UK and the European Union, and then to the US during the month of September. Financial services continues to perform exceptionally well for the Cayman Islands, and the public is now well aware of the industry's contribution to public services and projects, said, and that's a quote from the Deputy Premier and Minister for Financial Services. Also, having face-to-face discussions with international elected officials and civil servants and with international industry greatly helps us as a country to maintain our global regulatory effectiveness and to take advantage of emerging market opportunities. That's an explanation also provided by the minister, and he says also it allows financial services to continue providing significant benefits to our people. In the UK, the Deputy Premier will meet with government and civil service officials, attend a Cayman Finance Roundtable, and speak at Maple's London Investment Fund Forum 2024 from the 9th to the 11th of September. On the 12th and 13th of September, he will meet with EU and EU member state officials. In the US, during the week of the 15th of September, he will attend client meetings arranged by industry and speak at the Cayman International Insurance Companies Association Reinsurance Roundtable and the Auger Funds Symposium. Accompanying the Deputy Premier in the UK and the EU are government deputy representatives for financial services to Europe, Julie Campbell, and representative to the UK, Dr. Tasha Ebanks Garcia, both based in the United Kingdom. Director of the Ministry's Regulatory Affairs Unit, Andrea Proctor, Cayman Islands Monetary Authority Managing Director, Ms. Cindy Scotland, and Senior Legal Counsel, Stephanie Adolphus, and Cayman Finance CEO Steve McIntosh, and Associate Director Samantha Widmer. Accompanying him in the U.S. are the Ministry's Head of Advisory Services in the Regulatory Affairs Unit, Dwayne Lawrence, CIMA's Head of Insurance Supervision Division, Cara Ebanks, and you heard the Deputy Premier and Minister speak highly of her as well during our discussion here on For the Record. And Chief Analyst Dane Doctor, Cayman International Reinsurance Company Association Chair David Self, and CIRCA Representative Greg Mitchell, Insurance Managers Association of Cayman Chair Karen Mahegan, and Ms. Widmer and Mr. McIntosh as well. So those are all of the details of the Deputy Premier and Minister for Financial Services, his travel for overseas for industry engagement with our overseas partners as well. Folks, we're going to take our first commercial break. Please Stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
The Cayman Islands boasts of a long, colorful, and rich history. In tribute to our roots, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Historical Vignette Series, brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects. The Cayman Islands, He hath founded it upon the seas.
The first recorded trading vessel between Jamaica and the Cayman Islands was the Bermuda sloop named the Experiment in 1744. One of the most valuable early accounts of Grand Cayman comes from naval hydrographer George Gauld, who made the first accurate map and recorded a detailed description of Grand Cayman in 1773. The first recorded Caymanian captain was William Bodden, captain of the schooner Susanna, which left Savannah Lamar for Grand Cayman in 1765. Bodden's son-in-law, William Eden, would go on to build Pedro Castle.
Radio Cayman's Historical Vignettes was brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects.
Since 1993, Rotary Central has worked diligently each year to provide quality bus shelters to our community. A traveling convenience to our school children, the elderly, young people going to work, guest workers, and visitors using the public bus. We, Rotary Central, help you, our advertisers, make it happen. Your marketing dollar travels a far way. Positioning your message, your product, your services, your presence in over 83 bus shelters. Every dollar you spend, every advert you place helps to build another bus shelter, providing modest comfort for Cayman travelers. Reserve space now on the only billboard medium in the Cayman Islands. Email rotaryshelters@gmail.com. rotaryshelters@gmail.com. The Bus Shelters, a partner in community convenience. Another inspiration program by Rotary Central Cayman Islands.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay. Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Be sure to stop into any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. Or grab an ice-cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, Cayman.
You deserve a unique vacation this year, one with easy non-stop flights from Cayman. Cayman Airways offers more non-stop flights to and from the Cayman Islands than any other airline. Now you can add Panama and Los Angeles to your travel bucket list. Skip the hassle of connecting flights. Panama is just a 2-hour non-stop flight from Cayman. And Los Angeles? Get there in less than 5 hours non-stop aboard Cayman Airways. Call 949-2311 or visit CaymanAirways.com to book your Los Angeles or Panama getaway today.
West Bay Pharmacy in Centennial Towers, a compounding story.
I don't think people realize how pain creeps into your life. It has a way of robbing your strength. I really don't like taking prescription medication orally.
West Bay Pharmacy in Centennial Towers. They understand.
When it comes to compounded medication, it's personal. So whenever there's a problem with some medication or treatments that's not working right, then a physician will call me and say, hey, they're having bad side effects from this medication.
Compounding pain cream changed the game. Made special for me. Significant pain relief in the form of a cream. That is a new experience for me.
It's changed his life.
It worked.
Ask your pharmacist or healthcare provider about compounding at West Bay Pharmacy in Centennial Towers. Call 914-6449.
Can you imagine your home completely organized? At Brand Source Custom Closets, we can. We specialize in designing and building custom closets and storage units for any room in your home, including the garage. With tailored designs and custom LED lighting solutions to fit your lifestyle and budget. Our custom closets expert is committed to enhancing the value of your home with a solution that is uniquely yours. Visit our showroom or call 623-6774 to schedule a no-obligation appointment with our design expert. Brand Source Custom Closets, 209 Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park.
Radio Cayman News.
2 people charged with human smuggling appear for trial.
Forced the Ethiopians to work on the boat and were kept in an area that was padlocked.
The Joy Marie Tippett Adult Training Center is a place of hope.
Very active tropical wave that just crossed the Lesser Antilles.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice for today's biggest news.
This is For the Record.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. No guests in the studio yet. We will have guests in the studio after 8 o'clock news at 8:15. Meanwhile, this person would like to give a special birthday shout out to their husband, Mr. Gary Watler, also known as Mr. G. May God continue to bless him with good health, prosperity, and happiness always. Happy birthday, Mr. G, from your loving wife and family. Gary Watler, happy birthday to you today as well, Mr. G. Remember, Mr. G's Barber Shop as well. Used to patronize that for years and years and years. So, Gary Watler, happy birthday to you. We have a caller on hold, Miss Susan. Let's grab the caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record, and I believe I know who it is. So, based on that, we can say happy birthday in advance of tomorrow as well. Good morning, caller.
And because of your kindness and your greetings, I promise to be at my best behavior.
Okay, but don't forget now. I still have my retort on Friday's conversation.
I know. That's why I'm trying my best for you to forget. you know. And to say if you forget, I am likely to repeat myself. So thanks for those advance greetings, my friend. And I too would like to send birthday greetings out to who I want. Hutchin Rankin from East End.
Oh, okay, my good friend.
Derek Parson, Woodard DaCosta, all those guys born. No, I born on their birthday. I'm younger than them, and quite a few more. But I'll remember that and send it to you.
Yeah, send that list so I can do it on Wednesday, God willing. Yeah.
Right. Okay. I'll see. Just a little thing I read where, or I should say first, whenever these major projects come online for approval, the politicians are always up on a platform talking about it will bring jobs, and then we give concession, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then I see where Prime Minister Howell stated in Parliament where with all the boom of construction, it's only 27% of the employment is Caymanians.
Yes.
So see, I don't think we need any more. I don't think we need to be given concessions or approving any major construction jobs like that with the idea that it will create jobs, but it don't seem like we need any really jobs if we're only 27% of the employment within that entity or that project.
Mm-hmm.
And then, after the project is finished construction-wise, there's not a lot of employment within that development or that ongoing business where they employ a lot of Caymanians. For example, like major condos, 7-store condos and the likes. I mean, back in the day, I can name off many Caymanians that was manager of condominium. I think it was, I wasn't sure whether it had to be Caymanian managed the condos. I think it was something where it wasn't given work permit for that. I'm not sure, but there was the Jerishes, the Paradise, the Denise, everybody that I can remember was one of the best ambassadors we had was Miss Hillemaid and mother. Miss
Anna Moulton.
Miss Anna Moulton, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Yeah, she was there for many, many years managing that project close to the Ritz. But now they have replaced all those managers, OC, except I think Miss the lady from Northside, with a committee. I understand they form like a committee to do it from overseas. And as I can hear, OC, a lot of that is so they can swindle the government out of money. Like pretending that the condos are not rented at.
And they don't have to pay that tax.
Right, they don't have to pay the tax, you see. That's what they're doing. So they cannot take a chance with the Caymanian being there because, the Cayman would probably look out for the government and make sure everything is above board,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Lord Graham, if I may, because I want you to stick on this topic about the number of Caymanians employed. One of the things, and we know that our Caymanian protection law, when it first came into effect, it was based on the Bermudan protection law, right? Bermuda has certain categories of jobs that are closed off to work permits. Our politicians in Cayman have failed to do that. We have repeatedly called for it, like, for instance, for real estate agents, front desk positions at hotels where, there should be Caymanians heading that up. Our politicians here have failed continuously to do that. Last week I saw in Bermuda, they review it every 3 months and decide whether or not a particular occupation may stay on or may be removed from it. We refused in many instances to do things that will help Caymanians. Why? I don't know.
Yeah, on that note, OC, I would give kudos out to ex-elected member Elio Solomon, who had what it took to bring a motion down to the Legislative Assembly at the time, predicting that same thing, jobs only for Caymanians. And I think it was passed in the House, but it was put on the shelf. I haven't heard anything more concerning it, OC. But I'm not sure why OC they're scared, because I think there's a section in the Constitution where says that all jobs in Cayman are for Caymanians. I think that's how it's predicted in the Constitution. All jobs in Cayman is for Caymanians.
Yeah, the premise is
I don't know what they're scared about. We can say the deputy governor can only be held by a Caymanian, so how that can be extended across the board. I know, see things like you just mentioned real estate agent. What it takes to sell a piece of cliffland up in East End, you either want it or you don't want it. It's for sale, and I tell you what, the agent that I called just being nosy and trying to cause a little embarrassment or whatever it is to the person that was selling. I see the picture. Or the beautiful girl on there that I don't recognize, that's not from Westville, Northside, East End, or Bordentown.
But it goes beyond that. It goes beyond that. Remember now, as a real estate agent, sometimes they're involved in the management of properties as well. So it is more than just an income on the percentage of the sale price of a property, but it's much more than that. And, a lot of people who are not in the real estate industry don't realize that, and those in the real estate industry don't want you to know.
And another thing they don't want us to know, OC, I understand a lot of the real estate companies now, they got these side jobs where they form what you call ghost companies, where that ghost company goes and offer the owner double almost the amount of money for the property so they can get it and hold it and then sell it to the highest bidder so they can use it to obtain 60 points that they need. That's another thing going on.
Okay.
How the government don't know all this?
Yep. Lord Graham, got to release you there because we reached that point in time, but not sure how long our guests are going to stay. I think they're scheduled until 10 o'clock, but if not, we will have the phone lines open again later on. Folks, top of the hour, 8 o'clock news. Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back immediately after the 8 o'clock news.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. And studio time by Foster's is 1 minute after 8.
When you're on the go, the experienced team at Foster's Pharmacy are here to help. Drop off your prescription while you shop or WhatsApp us and we'll prepare it, ready for your arrival.
Whether you need prescription or over-the-counter medications, blood glucose testing, or advice on vitamins and supplements, we're here early in the morning to late at night. Both of our locations at our Camana Bay and airport stores are open 7 a.m. to 9 p.m., Monday to Saturday.
For more info, visit fosters.ky/pharmacy. Foster's Pharmacy. Better health because we care.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by ValueMed Pharmacy. Save time and order your prescription refills online at value-medpharmacy.com. VALU-medpharmacy.com.
For today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
With your latest news, I'm Carsley Fuller. Government publishes 3 months' worth of meeting summaries for the National Security Council. The first summary, posted on Thursday, was for the NSC's April 23rd meeting, where the group got an update from the RCIPS in relation to the first quarter crime stats for 2024, firearm-enabled offenses, traffic offenses, acquisitive crime, and recent arrests and operations. Customs and Border Control then briefed the NSC on that unit's arrests, along with illegal migrant concerns, and provided an update in relation to the CBC Detention Center. Finally, the Cayman Regiment made a presentation with regards to its strategic plan and priorities. At the May meeting, the NSC got its hurricane season preparedness briefing from Hazard Management, which included exercises and training, followed by its monthly briefing from CBC and the Royal Cayman Islands Police Service, which noted a marked increase in acquisitive crime. That covers things like shoplifting, burglary, theft, and robbery. Again, monthly RCIPS and CBC arrests and migrant stats were provided during the NSC's June meeting. There was also a special presentation by the National Risk Register. You can find all 3 summaries online at gov.ky. Now, speaking of policing,
the general population here support the police, and that's where you want to be.
With policing coming under the microscope globally, particularly in the United States, Police Commissioner Kurt Walton says his organization is planning to focus on the positives in the coming months as it seeks to boost community support and local recruitment efforts.
Just kick-started our local recruit class on Monday, so we've got 14 new recruits, local Caymanians, and I'm looking to get as much young people interested into the profession. What I don't think we do well is a positive PR around the organization. Tend to hear from us when something has gone wrong.
Mr. Walton wants to spread the word that there are many jobs within the RCIPS, not just frontline officers, and the organization wants to attract local talent to fill those posts. He also wants the community to know about the organization's more proactive community work and its willingness to, quote, expect, accept, and utilize criticism. Now with a check of international news, here's the BBC, which takes us out of the newscast. I'm Carsley Fuller.
BBC News, I'm John Shea. Health officials in Afghanistan say more than 3 million children are at risk because of malnutrition, which has reached record levels under the rule of the Taliban. In just one hospital in Jalalabad, an average of 3 children are dying every day. Almost 60 people are reported to have been killed in Vietnam as Typhoon Yagi swept across the north of the country. Heavy rainfall in mountainous areas has swollen the Red River, bringing down bridges and unleashing landslides. A report for the European Commission says the EU needs more than $800 billion of extra investment per year to compete with the United States and China. The report also calls for a more coordinated industrial policy. El Salvador's police chief, who led a crackdown on criminal gangs, has been killed in a helicopter crash. President Bukele said it could not be treated as a simple accident. Human Rights Watch says Sudan's warring parties have obtained more foreign-made weapons and military equipment, despite a UN arms embargo. They come from China, Iran, Russia, Serbia and the UAE. Pope Francis has begun his visit to Timor-Leste with a call on its leaders to do more to prevent the abuse of young people. Campaigners had urged the Pope to address the issue after a local bishop was accused of sexually abusing young boys. India's Supreme Court has ordered junior doctors protesting over the rape and murder of a female medic in Kolkata last month to return to work. It warned striking doctors that it would allow the local government to take disciplinary action if they didn't go back. And the acting governor of the Indonesian island of Bali has proposed a 2-year ban on the construction of new hotels, villas and nightclubs to prevent overdevelopment. It already instituted a crackdown on bad behaviour by tourists. BBC News.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by ValueMed Pharmacy. Save time and order your prescription refills online at value-medpharmacy.com. VALU-medpharmacy.com.
Now, more than ever, supporting your immune system is crucial to helping your body fight off illnesses like the common cold, the flu, and COVID-19. At ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road and in Buttontown, we carry all the essential vitamins and minerals to help support your immune system and improve your overall health. Some of our top immunity support picks are vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, elderberry, and quercetin, or the popular 7-in-1 immunity support. Our pharmacists are always on hand to help guide you and answer any questions. Visit ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road or Buttontown. Live happy, live healthy with ValueMed Pharmacy.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman with the latest up-to-date, accurate news and information. For your convenience, the headline news will be repeated on our sister station, Breeze 105.3 FM, weekdays at 8:30 a.m. Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or download the Radio Cayman app in the App Store or log on to www.radiocayman.gov.ky and stay connected to what's happening in the community. Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
Water Authority Cayman is building a resilient network to face the storms of the season. Because of our commitment to ensuring our customers have access to water during the hurricane season, the Water Authority has been investing in the development of our critical infrastructure, increasing our water storage capacity with 2 new reservoirs and increasing our water production capacity with the construction of a new reverse osmosis plant. Visit www.waterauthority.ky to learn how you can get your home ready for the hurricane season.
The new KFC nuggets have arrived. That unlike the no-gets, ours are handmade using 100% white meat, unlike the no-gets. At KFC, we hand-bread every day to achieve the perfect flavor. After you try our delicious and crispy nuggets in the original recipe, you'll never settle for less. KFC, the real nuggets. It's finger-licking good.
The Church of God Chapel Bawdentown extends a warm homecoming to our community. It's time to come back home to church. More than fellowship, home is where the heart is, where your family feels safe. This special homecoming service is for you. On behalf of the family of the Church of God Chapel in Bawdentown, come back home to church. Sunday, September 15th, 10:30 a.m.
The 8 a.m. weather update brought to you by CG Britcade, where people come first.
Good morning. Let's take a look at the latest weather report. Current temperature is 86 degrees. Relative humidity is 78%. The barometric pressure is 29.91 inches and rising. The wind is east at 7 knots. Overnight low temperature was 84 degrees. Synopsis indicate a weak pressure gradient across the northwest Caribbean will continue to support light to moderate winds and slight seas over the Cayman area during the next few days. Radar images show isolated showers in and around the Cayman area drifting towards the west-northwest. The National Hurricane Center continues to issue advisories on potential Tropical Cyclone 6. Further information can be found at www.nhc.noaa.gov. The system poses no threat to the Cayman Islands. Now, the forecast for the Cayman Islands for today, calling for partly cloudy skies with a 30% chance of showers. Temperatures will rise to the low 90s with a heat index near 107 degrees Fahrenheit. Your winds will be east to southeast at 5 to 10 knots for today, and seas will be slight with wave heights of 1 to 3 feet. Tonight, partly cloudy skies with a 20% chance of showers and temperatures falling to the low 80s tonight. Your winds will be east to northeast at 5 to 10 knots, and seas will be slight with wave heights of 1 to 3 feet. Today's high tide will occur this afternoon at 2:44, low tide tonight at 7 minutes after 9. The sun will set this evening at 6:31 and will rise tomorrow morning at 6:13. And the outlook is calling for an increase in the chance of cloudiness and showers from Wednesday evening as a tropical wave is expected to move over the northwest Caribbean. And that's the very latest on your weather report.
We were set to battle, and your Aunt Angie was leading the pack when...
Aunt Angie, what does this have to do with car damage?
Oh, right. Well, long story long. I took down the assassins and wound up inventing a new form of mixed martial arts. I became an international champion until one sore loser karate kicked my car. But I was covered with CG.
Covered for malicious damage and more. CG Brit K. Good like that. All benefits are subject to policy provisions, including eligibility at the time of service.
The 8 a.m. weather update brought to you by
CG Britcade, where people come first. Homeowners, protecting your family and property is crucial during the season, and you should always assess insurance needs long before a storm makes landfall. Most insurers won't issue new policies or increases when a storm is imminent. Cayman Insurance Center's team of professionals can help owners like you find the most comprehensive coverage and competitive rates. Call the insurance professionals at Cayman Insurance Center 949-4657 or email info@cic.com.ky. Don't take chances with your family's future or your valuable assets. Call Cayman Insurance Center's insurance professionals today at 949-4657.
According to statistics in the 2022 Cayman Islands Student Drug Use Survey, 23.1% of students reported being bullied in the last 12 months. The Anti-Bullying Schools Regulations 2022, brought forward by the Ministry of Education, aim to prevent bullying in our schools and help schools create a welcoming and safe learning environment for our children. Please encourage your children to report bullying to an educator. Learn more at gov.ky/education.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Enjoy a delicious start to your day with breakfast from Subway.
Good morning. Let's take a look this time at traffic. On the lane for Pearson Highway, traffic is steady. Further down, a little busier. As we look to Crew Road, steady traffic as well. Heading to Georgetown, eastbound traffic on Crew Road is moving on light to moderate. Coming off of Bobby Thompson Way, steady traffic, and Huldah Avenue as well. Further up on Shamrock Road and Right Crichton Boulevard, flowing moderately in both directions. On the West Bay Road, traffic is moderate in both directions, and Godfrey Nixon Way, traffic is flowing at a good pace in both directions. North Sound Road, of course, traffic is steady but flowing in both directions, and heading towards the Industrial Park area, traffic is moderate. Edward Street flowing nicely, Shedden Road, moderate flow of traffic, and that's what's happening on your roads. Join us again at about 10 minutes past 12. We'll give you another look at traffic. Remember, click it or ticket.
The rich flavors of Italy just arrived at Subway. Say ciao to the Italianos. Our 3 new Subway Series recipes, carefully crafted with an Italian flair. Try the Hot Shot Italiano for an enticing and zesty touch. The tastier than ever Ultimate BMT, generously stuffed with a mix of ham, pepperoni, and salami. Or go all in with the creamy chicken bacon Alfredo. New Subway Series Italianos. Chef-crafted greatness in every bite. Elevate your game only at Subway. Delizioso.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Enjoy a delicious start to your day with breakfast from Subway.
You deserve a unique vacation this year, one with easy non-stop flights from Cayman. Cayman Airways offers more non-stop flights to and from the Cayman Islands than any other airline. Now you can add Panama and Los Angeles to your travel bucket list. Skip the hassle of connecting flights. Panama is just a 2-hour non-stop flight from Cayman. And Los Angeles? Get there in less than 5 hours non-stop aboard Cayman Airways. Call 949-2311 or visit CaymanAirways.com to book your Los Angeles or Panama getaway today.
Tune in every Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. for Radio Cayman's Midday Newscast. Radio Cayman, the People's Station, your trusted official source for the latest news. The 12 p.m. news is proudly brought to you by Health City Cayman Islands. World-class healthcare within your reach.
with Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. It is my pleasure to have in the studio with me the Honorable Sabrina Turner, Minister with responsibility for health, wellness, and home affairs.
Correct.
She's in the studio in that capacity this morning. This is, sorry. This is a part of the ministry's program recognizing Hurricane Ivan, 20 years, the past, the present, grateful, resilient, all of those adjectives and characteristics that we have adopted since the passing of Hurricane Ivan 20 years ago. And she will be speaking, like I said before, in her capacity as Minister with responsibility for health, wellness, and home affairs. Minister Turner, good morning. Welcome back to For the Record.
Good morning, Mr. Connor. It's a pleasure to be back with you. Oh my God, 20 years.
Yes.
How young were you then?
I was thinking about that the other day. I was thinking about that the
I was
other
a
day.
tender age of being 30.
Okay.
Yeah, I just timelined myself. So you got my age now, eh? But it is a pleasure to be on your show this morning as we reminisce lessons learnt in this capacity as your Minister of Health, Wellness, and definitely Home Affairs, and looking at how the impact of this hurricane that in our generation could almost be categorized as how my grandparents and great-grandparents spoke of the 1932 storm. And, for those who endured Hurricane Ivan, being here in the Cayman Islands, working in various capacities, those days I was an actual immigration officer.
Okay.
I was in immigration those days. And the resilience of our people, how we rebound in such a quick manner. But again, looking at where we are today, as we spoke just before coming live on the radio, a lot of people are still feeling the impacts of Hurricane Ivan 20 years after the fact. And I'm quite sure, coupled with what COVID has done, mentally, Ivan had the same impact, if not even worse. I can recall sitting under a stairwell on a washing machine with one of my sons in my lap for 13 hours.
Wow.
That's where we had to shelter.
Wow.
And around, you're hearing all of the noises of what was found out after the fact was the ceiling dropping upstairs of the sheetrock because the roof was compromised. And you're hearing things banging against your shutters. And then you watch the water come in, of course, seeping through the back door, and it came up and then it went back out. Other people had, where you are on the island, more scary experience. Some were in their roofs, going into their attics. And, it all depended on where you were. But in that wind, and I heard a lot of people reflect on that, I could hear something that sounded like Cayman Airways engines revving up. I could swear I heard a baby crying. I could swear I heard a freight train. The wind. And then your ears were just so tight. That's when the pressure dropped. But looking back at where we are, even as a nation, and now being in this position, as I said, I was only 30 then, and here I am today as your Minister of Health, Wellness, and Home Affairs, having worked at the hospital from 1990 to about 94 before joining you at immigration. There is no doubt that our country have not learnt a lot of lessons. We have put so much things in place when we look at the services from the healthcare side of things. We have become more resilient. We've put in more safeguarding issues where backup and standby generators are concerned. We're looking at oxygen and all of that from the healthcare standpoint. And then you're looking at also the security aspects as well. I know that my fire guys were out on the road rescuing people immediately and until, they couldn't respond anymore during Ivan. And with all the training that they have gotten locally and overseas 20 years ago to where we are now, coupled with the fact that we now have on board the regiment, the cadets are more robust and in training up as we build capacity. The Cayman Islands should be proud of where we are today, knowing that we're recognized and in many cases envied by some of our neighboring jurisdictions, depending on us to share with them and impart because of what infrastructures we have in place, even with our MRCU and our mosquito control mechanisms. We have so much to be thankful for as a resilient jurisdiction that I think we take what we got for granted too often.
Yeah. And speaking of the fire service, at that point in time, the fire service, that was the command center, really. And, we should take this opportunity also to pay tribute to the late Mr. Kirkland Nixon, as well as the late Mr. Donovan Ebanks, who both of whom I would say were the fathers of hurricane preparedness. In terms of in terms of creating a system for hurricane preparedness. They are the fathers of that.
Right.
Mr. Kirkland Nixon, the late Kirkland Nixon, the late Donovan Ebanks, not to forget Mr. Sheldon Hislop, who was the director of civil aviation and the current director of the authority, Mr. Richard Smith, as well. Other participants like Mr. Kearney Gomez, Mr. Sambula,
Mr.
Fred Sambula, as well. And but the fire station, I recall, there were squabs, squabs,
I heard,
swimming, inside the fire station that had swept in from the North Sound.
Correct.
As well. But yes.
But even leading up to that, in preparation, a lot of people were not even taking it serious. And then you look at what people lost. You came out in the aftermath as it passed, and it was safe to actually venture out to even assess your properties. Some of the areas were unrecognizable. It's like you went in, you hunkered down, and when you came back out, it's like you were like bewildered. I can recall I was in Victory Avenue when Ivan came off Summit Crescent and weathered it out there. I ended up back spending months then at Tropic Breeze with friends right there in Tropical Gardens. And I can remember walking from there to my grandmother's house right here by Godfrey's. And it didn't seem very long. Those days it was the old road at the back of the runway. That was pretty much destroyed. All of the fence was compromised. And you just saw persons sitting outside, everyone for a moment were all at the same level. Now, not being a member of cabinet or being an elected member at that time, I'm experiencing or I'm expressing what I encountered as a regular member of society. And the looks on people's faces. I can recall, traversing along the road in South Sound. And you hear these where people have lost everything. Mariners Cove, the new site for the wellness park. That was just no more.
Swept out in the middle of the road. Yeah.
And how we came back, it's as though we forgot. For that moment, we were all just waiting for Mother Nature, totally out of our controls, but our faith and belief in doing what we did in order to prepare for something that we never expected. The closest thing to that then came after was Paloma, and that impacted our dear people and our sisters and brothers over in Cayman Brac. But again, being in this position, lessons learned. We hear what's happening around the jurisdiction to other jurisdictions who have not been so fortunate and have not been spared as we have been, that we would be silly to not put the necessary funding in place, upskilling our people, even our construction and the planning laws changed after that. And then remember, shortly after that, we had an earthquake. So you're like, what else? What else? But all of this puts things into perspective that at the end of the day, who is in control? We can only be prepared.
Yep. So talking about the past, we've mentioned fire service, which falls under your purview constitutionally. The hospital. We know, for instance, that so many people took refuge in the hospital. That was basically like a hurricane shelter. It presented challenges during Hurricane Ivan, but even more so after Hurricane Ivan in terms of getting people out of there. Because while we were successful in those persons who wanted to leave the island being able to leave before the hurricane struck, there were many persons, especially those on work permits, who were renting properties, who basically had nowhere to go afterwards. So in the past, we know what occurred. How is that institution now prepared as far as future occurrences are concerned? What we'll do, Ms. Susan, we'll take the commercial break so that the minister can have a continuous flow of words rather than having to interrupt her to go to the commercial break. Folks, please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
West Bay Pharmacy in Centennial Towers, a compounding story.
I don't think people realize how pain creeps into your life. It has a way of robbing your strength. I really don't like taking prescription medication orally.
West Bay Pharmacy in Centennial Towers. They understand.
When it comes to compounded medication, it's personal. So whenever there's a problem with some medication or treatments that's not working right, then a physician will call me and say, hey, they're having bad side effects from this medication.
Compounding pain cream changed the game. Made special for me. Significant pain relief in the form of a cream. That is a new experience for me.
It's changed his life.
It worked.
Ask your pharmacist or healthcare provider about compounding at West Bay Pharmacy in Centennial Towers. Call 914-6449.
She hear clunk and her car stop. I was just about to send her some money, so I send it straight to her JN money transfer card. It cost me less, and perhaps she use the card, pay the garage right away. She'll get discount through the JN Rewards program in Jamaica. This card make things easy. You can even get funds at any multi-link ATM.
JN Money Transfer Card. Fast, affordable, convenient. Tell your loved ones in Jamaica about it. Sign up is free.
You can now renew your driver's license or motor vehicle license online, and you don't need an ESID number. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3. Visit www.dvdl.gov.ky.
Your dream home starts with a vision, and often inspiration is at the heart of that vision. Brand Source Home Gallery's in-house designers are here to help bring your vision to life. Whether you're remodeling or building a new home, Brand Source Home Gallery is your one-stop solution. Explore their kitchen cabinets, sinks, faucets, bath fixtures, tubs, vanities, and more. Let Brand Source's designers help and inspire you with your next project. Call 623-5000 and schedule an appointment with a design expert at Brand Source Home Gallery, Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park, serving Cayman for 50 years.
This is For the Record.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, Minister Sabrina Turner, who has constitutional responsibility for health, wellness, and home affairs. The ministry has embarked upon a program in commemorating the arrival of Hurricane Ivan, or the impact of Hurricane Ivan on the Cayman Islands. So they're looking at the past, the present, being grateful for where we are and what we've been able to accomplish, and making ourselves more resilient as well. So before we went to the commercial break, we were talking about the government hospital. I wanted to say Health Services Authority, but that encompasses everything. The government hospital, the structure that was in place, the fact that so many people used it as a shelter because they had nowhere else to go, and some of the challenges that were faced during that period of time, and where are we now 20 years later?
Well, thank you again, and good morning to our listening and viewing audience. Looking at lessons learnt and where the hospital was 20 years ago and where they are today, there have been a lot of discussions, and COVID has taught us a lot of lessons as well. Breaking down of silos, memorandums of understanding being executed. It's just morally correct when you have other health care facilities available on island, that in order to be sustainable, that we all come together, should that be the case, and God forbid we're hit by another natural disaster of any sort. Based on the last weather event, we've increased our PR in letting people know that the hospital is definitely not a shelter. There have been some of the hurricane shelters like Prospect Primary, and there was a shelter in West Bay where we had a doctor and medical professional staff on hand, that should there have been persons who were dependent on oxygen, let's say, or just did not have the adequate resources, or low-lying areas, that they would report, but not sick enough to take up a hospital bed, that they would report to these designated shelters once they were accompanied by a caregiver or a family member, so that it's not 100% borne on the staff that is placed at these shelters. That was to avoid, again, overcrowding. But we understand that during, let's say, the height of a hurricane, someone's roof go off, people are going to look for a safe shelter. That, in the matter of any natural disaster or any emergency, can be accommodated. But we're hoping that persons will understand it's not like we're turning you away outside of a medical emergency, that the hospital should not be your first place of choice. Now, in the height of it and you're trying to save yourself, of course. But the problem came in was after it was passed that people were actually sheltering there. And that is not something that is being encouraged. But again, looking at where we are today with the Class A shelters that we have around the island, there's been, from a national level, discussions with just corporate responsibilities, that some of the corporate, and I am aware that some of the corporate companies try to relocate their staff for continuity of business, understanding that we are a financial jurisdiction. That would be the most prudent, responsible thing to do. And to be able to provide facilities for their staff and their families and even pets, from what I'm understanding. So to say that we are not in a better place in 2024 than 20 years ago, I would say we are much and far better off, more prepared than we were then. But where the hospital is concerned, the oxygen availability, I know they're working out with additional reservoir for backup water should water be interrupted. That is something that the board and the CEO was challenged with this last time, and additional bed capacity. But
what about generators
and all of that sort of stuff? From what I have been informed, they are operational. They go through their rigorous servicing, but it's almost as though it's like when you're preparing for a show and your PowerPoint presentation works perfectly during rehearsal, and then, oh my God, Murphy's Law, it happens in the event. These are all mechanical stuff, they feel, but you want to make sure that key infrastructure are always performing at their best, especially when that's all you have to rely on. But I am comforted in saying, based on what has been reported to me, that the necessary things are in place should the hospital be compromised they would work with other agency partners in and around the islands just to make sure that care is continued, and behind the scenes the powers that be will make those decisions, putting the people first.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And we know also that after Hurricane Ivan, because the sister islands, Cayman Brac in particular, was not as impacted as we were, what sort of liaison measures do we have in place with the Faith Hospital and the Georgetown Hospital?
Yes. That is why the board continuously works on bringing that. I know that some of the persons are persons looking for the services that are accessible in our sister islands. It needs to move sometimes a little faster. But that is why it's imperative that all services, or as much services as feasible, is provided in our sister islands for continuity of care, for just that very same reason. And it shouldn't be taken for granted by any means. Oh, when things are okay, you just take a 20-minute, 45-minute flight based on what carrier you're on to come to Cayman. There could be a case where, Grand Cayman, there could be a case where we have to rely on the Faith Hospital over in the BRAC to actually provide critical continued care until other things are worked out. So my board is challenged with that. The CEO of the HSA continues to work along with Dr. Velasamy to make sure that all of these needs are met, even if it is for an interim. Just like how you're supposed to have the sufficient water at your disposal for at least 3 to 5 days post a hurricane. It's something similar, if not the same, for what preparations for resilience to just be able to rebound as it comes with our health care, and also for emergency services. I know one of the questions and concerns that you had was in regards to our dialysis patients. And I have been reliably informed that, there is an agreement with South Florida providers. Should persons have to be flown off, they have made arrangements with providers in South Florida. And they also do, before the impending hurricane, that they have 72 hours that they dialyze them to the point that they could go as long as 72 hours without needing another treatment. And they also have all of their travel documents. Should an emergency happen, they have all of that mechanisms behind the scenes already worked out. This is something that they have, I guess, rehearsed. Hope never happens, but the powers that be over there has the necessary MOUs in place that should this actually be a decision that has to be made, they have already built those relationships at the closest point to get our patients off to Florida. Also the generator at the HSA has been elevated because we understood what happened the last time. And again, these are all lessons learned with how you actually do your infrastructure. Going back to what I was saying, many people,
establishments in Cayman learned that afterwards.
Yes, so they have a generator and a redundant generator.
Okay.
So we're just making sure now, and I know the oxygen, that has been sorted out. They're just finalizing or looking at making sure now that they have adequate supply of water that could keep them for extended period of time. So these are all key things that I know is on the radar. It's at the forefront. They're all priority. As it pertains to HSA and their resilience in being able to carry out continued care. But we need the cooperation of the public. It is not a case where you just bring your loved ones there, drop them off, and you keep them here because where we live, it is not safe. That is not what we want people to do.
Okay. Now, Minister, we know that I would say, and I have no figures to back this up, but just my intuition, that per capita, the Cayman Islands probably have more medical doctors and other medical practitioners on the island than any developed country, and certainly we would want to have something in place that we can call upon them if they're needed as well. They can basically take up some of the slack or some of the ease some of the pressures that may come to bear on the public facilities as well.
Correct.
Now, do they have any sort of organization themselves that has been set up, or do we does the government enter into MOUs with each entity? Let's say, for instance, Doctors Hospital or whatever, to provide these services in the
Yes,
event
sir.
of a hurricane or otherwise.
As I have been informed, and when you look at the clusters from when NEOC is established, they have representatives, and also at the HSA, there is a committee that is made up of private and public health sectors as well. That you're going to have some that just feel, look, I'm not going to weather this, I'm going to leave. To each his own. But we do have a lot of doctors, clinicians, specialists on island that really regard Cayman, and in the event of an emergency, they're the first ones that are raising their hand. Hey, we're here to help. How can we help? It speaks volumes of our society, to be honest. But at the end of the day, I have no fear that we will not band together as we did during COVID and previously, even when we were not as organized or structured during 20 years ago. We band together for those who stayed to rebuild. And here we are today. We've come back. We're stronger. And governments before this one and this government is willing to support and put the necessary funding, as long as we are making sure that we have the key infrastructures in place to keep us and sustainable at the end of the day. Another thing too, the HSA also have their own oxygen plant now. They didn't have that then. Yes, we have our own oxygen plant at the Health Services Authority. So I'm comforted to say, based on what has been reported to me, that where we're coming from and where we are now far supersedes many other jurisdictions. And for the size, like you rightfully say, one thing that we can prove, you says per capita, we not short of beds. And that includes the sister islands when you look at the amount of beds for a ratio. And it's just making sure that we all come together. It's the mindset, it's the culture, it's the resilience. It's nobody being, I'm the superhero, it's me. It's just all of us banding together for the greater good, for our country and our people.
Does the regiment fall under your ministry?
Yes, sir. That is the regiment for, yes.
That's another
there we go.
Entity that wasn't in place when during Hurricane Ivan. Our regiment at that time were people like the
service
and the Paul Bordens, who had their equipment and were able to get out there and help to clear the area. I think Paul Borden may have been instrumental in clearing the area around Mariners Cove that you spoke about earlier.
Yes.
And Mr. Arden McLean using a front end loader to get to East End.
About our people, and we have only added another layer of being able to respond to natural disasters when you have the regiment, when you have our fire, when you have good citizens, as you've named, that we do what we have to do to get our country back. It was key. Remember now, East End was cut off at one point, and we had to use Queens Highway. There was a portion also along 7 Mile Beach. Look at the water coming across the road there by Hurley's, which is the narrowest point of our island. When you look at the amount of development that has happened on our island since Ivan, even going back as far as Hurricane Gilbert, the channeling of water and the water flow is another thing that needs to be looked at. Infrastructure, drainage, stormwater management. Hey, who speaks more about stormwater management than myself? Because we know what happens in Prospect. So to say that we are not aware of the challenges and we're not trying to do our best at pace to resolve them as much as possible. People have found that they are filling in their lands more for drainage, but where's the drainage going? In your backyard,
Water's
in my
backyard. Find its own level.
Exactly. So that's something as well. When I was on the ground back in Red Bay and Prospect days, when we were a part of the when I was a part of that community group and we did the CERT training, I realized there was no emergency, no hurricane evacuation route. But yet you had a Class A shelter, being that of the Prospect Primary School. And there was no official evacuation route. But there was one to the schools, right up here, Truman Bodden. But yet we had a Class A shelter at Prospect Primary School. And that was one of the things that I discovered when we were doing that training as a CERT community response team. And you pretty much had to understand the lay of the land. There is a buffer from Ocean Club, now Lantern Point is there, and you have the east-west arterial.
Yep.
But when you look at the other main road, Shamrock Road, that's exposed to the ocean that took Mariners Cove and portions of Ocean Club. This safe ground, you know, is actually the bypass.
Yes. Okay, Minister, we have to take a commercial break. When we return, we're going to talk about mental health after Hurricane Ivan as well. And this discussion is not going to be about Ponciana. That has been, you know, battered around in other forum as well. We're going to be talking about mental health. I recall Mr. Colonel Gomez, Mr. Colford Scott, myself going to Turks and Caicos after they had been impacted by a hurricane and speaking with the governor over there. And one of the questions that he asked was, you know, what are some of the things that we should be concentrating on, that we should be aware of, we should be looking at? And I said to him, one of the things that you need to look at is mental health. We saw so many persons who were not physically affected by Hurricane Island in terms of their personal self, maybe their properties, but not themselves, and then passing after Hurricane Ivan because of mental health issues. Folks, don't change that dial. Please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
Did you know that Doctors Hospital provides urgent care services 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? And Doctors Hospital's urgent care physicians have access to the most advanced MRI and CT imaging in the Caribbean, providing reliable diagnostics when you need it most. When you need quality urgent care for an illness or injury, Doctors Hospital is here for you 24/7. Whether it's a migraine, chest or abdominal pain, shortness of breath, broken bones, or another urgent need, Doctors Hospital at the top of Walker's Road. Urgent care right now.
You deserve a unique vacation this year, one with easy non-stop flights from Cayman. Cayman Airways offers more non-stop flights to and from the Cayman Islands than any other airline. Now you can add Panama and Los Angeles to your travel bucket list. Skip the hassle of connecting flights. Panama is just a 2-hour non-stop flight from Cayman. And Los Angeles? Get there in less than 5 hours non-stop aboard Cayman Airways. Call 949-2311 or visit CaymanAirways.com to book your Los Angeles or Panama getaway today.
When it comes to weekly meal prep, I trust Kirk Market to provide the best value for quality proteins. The butchers at Kirk Market are super helpful. They always slice my steaks perfectly. Kirk Market has everything I need for healthy and flavorful protein-packed meals. From lean cuts of CAB choice beef, tender CAB prime beef, the juiciest pork, and all-natural hormone-free poultry, to their seafood section with everything from fresh local snapper to omega-3 rich salmon. I choose Kirk Market for the highest quality proteins to support my healthy lifestyle. Kirk Market. Eat well, live well, and discover a world of choice.
Can you imagine your home completely organized? At Brand Source Custom Closets, we can. We specialize in designing and building custom closets and storage units for any room in your home, including the garage. With tailored designs and custom LED lighting solutions to fit your lifestyle and budget. Our custom closets expert is committed to enhancing the value of your home with a solution that is uniquely yours. Visit our showroom or call 623-6774 to schedule a no-obligation appointment with our design expert. Brand Source Custom Closets, 209 Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park.
With Orrett Connor.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. Those of you who are just joining us, in the studio with me, Minister Honorable Sabrina Turner, who has constitutional responsibility for health, wellness, and home affairs. The ministry has embarked on recognition of Hurricane Ivan, 20 years past, present, grateful, resilient as well. And we're going to talk about mental health then, mental health now, how we are prepared now, how we have learned from the past as well. Minister Turner.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. And again, to those just joining us, it's a pleasure to be here this morning to reflect, give thanks, and talk about what our experiences were post-Hurricane Ivan. But focusing now on mental health, post-traumatic disorder. And let me tell you something, from children straight down to adults experience that. We may not have understood that acronym prior to COVID, and we just had to know we were trying to get back some sort of normalcy to life. But I can remember my two sons, when they heard rain afterwards, they got nervous.
Mm-hmm.
They started to, obviously they could reflect on what they had just encountered. And adults, people were like, they were in a trance. It's like all they have ever worked for was just gone in a matter of minutes in some cases. Some it was just a more long and drawn out process.
Yeah,
and then they had to deal with the realities of hearing you were underinsured or you were overinsured, and just navigating all of that when you were then depending on a generator, hoping that nobody stole it and it was replaced by a lawnmower, because remember those?
Yes.
But when you look at what we went through mentally, it was rather taxing on us, whether or not we understood it was mental. 20 years ago, people were not that vocal even about mental challenges, depression. And it's, when you look at it, and I'm quite sure our data will reveal this, post-Ivan to where we are now, and coming out of these life-changing experiences, Cayman especially, we will see where mental health really was impacted going back to as far back as Gilbert. It didn't help with COVID that we were actually shut in. But the mere fact that right now all of our shelters have mental health professionals on staff, there's also a mental health hotline that is run also by private and public sector volunteers. The resources are there to help persons of all ages. And we are aware of this, even though it's been more spoken about, I would say, post-COVID. It was always amongst us, but it was more private. Like people were ashamed. You would be stigmatized. You'd be looked at because you were just out of sorts. You were a little bit bent out of shape. And there's no reason for persons who are going through anything that they should be ashamed. But again, it's just how our society is. We're so small. People are ashamed to talk about what they are going through for fear of confidentiality. But I can assure you that any of these professionals operating these businesses, they are bounded by being professional, and they cannot talk your business. But that had an impact seriously on children. I remember within, I would say 4 days post Ivan, I got out on a charter to settle my two sons over in the States. And I can remember just going up to the immigration officer, and he said, "How are you, Mr. Connor?" One son on one hip and the other one holding his hand. I just broke down in tears. Why did I started crying? It was like, wow. Another breakdown that I had was when I finally got there and stood under a warm shower. Even though I longed for that, I was like, what did I leave at home? I actually felt guilty because I was getting my kids out of this environment to come back home to assist in the cleanup, being an immigration officer at that time. I actually felt guilty for doing that, understanding I learned what it was to really bathe with 1 gallon of water.
Yes.
But I made it work. But that plays on you, and that's, how do you cope with that? My way was making sure that I was strong for my two sons, to be there to reassure them. For those people who were living alone or elderly, who lost everything, who did they have to go through without being viewed as they were less? But here we are today, talking about it. What have we done between then and now? I am more comfortable in saying that the resources that we have put in place as the Cayman Islands is far, far much better. And they're there for people to tap into.
Yep. We're certainly much more resilient, now in so many ways as well. Off mic earlier, we were talking about being prepared and the exercises, the tabletop exercises that are conducted, even though it may not be the real thing, or you try to make it as real as possible.
Yes.
Huh?
Yeah, we can tabletop this all we want. We are doing the best understanding lessons learnt from going back as Gilbert, Ivan, COVID, because COVID that'll be a part of how we respond for the rest of our lives here in the Cayman Islands.
Mm-hmm.
But when you look at all of these trainings, simulation exercises, the reality comes with how we all hold up in those leadership roles when it presents itself. And again, NEOC, under the leadership of Danny and the team, the clusters that they have there, I have seen that operation in business. And along with disseminating the information, having the necessary emergency response that can go out quickly, has been improved. I mean, look at yourselves, Radio Cayman, still that #1 station to go to when you're in the height of a hurricane. How much more radio stations have not come on stream since then? But it's going back to, how do we include everyone in the time of a natural disaster, in an emergency? Speaks volumes of a jurisdiction, and everyone coming together, no matter class, creed, color, economic, financial status. We all have to survive, and we're all one at the end of the day, no matter what.
So true, yes. One of our listeners, before we go to our headline news at 9 o'clock, person says a geological challenge remains around water surge from Fairbanks, which floods the rear parking lot of the Georgetown Hospital. There were motor insurance claims directly resulting from flooding of nearly $2.5 million directly related to water surge. Has there been any action taken to mitigate against this happening again? The water surge also threatened the stand by the generator.
Well, definitely we dealt with the generator part because that has been elevated now, as I've been reliably informed. And in regards to how motor is dealt with, I can't speak openly on what has been put in place from the insurance standpoint. But I'm quite sure, based on just dealing with them myself, personally having my own vehicle, that you have to read the fine print and ask the questions. Now may be a good time, because we're at the peak of hurricane season, that you visit your insurance provider to see exactly what governs that. And the details is in the fine print. And if you're not sure what you're covered for, if you're overinsured, underinsured, or what are you covered for, where you live on the island as well. Because I can remember at one point just living along the coast, in specifically along South Sound, people were having challenges getting insurance. So to say that Hurricane Ivan and what this country endured after that did not change the landscape of even how businesses is conducted, I would tell you it has changed it, but you still have the right to go into your provider and ask the relevant questions to make sure that you're in the know and not thinking you got A when you really have C.
So true. Folks, with that, we're going to go to headline news at the top of the hour. When we return, the conversation with Minister Turner will continue. Don't change that dial. Please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
Since 1976.
Covering Grand Cayman, no Cayman, and right. One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands. From Radio Cayman's newsroom, this is Headlines. Local, regional, international news.
The headline news is brought to you by Kirk Market and Health Services Authority.
The Deputy Premier is leading delegations to the United Kingdom and the European Union before heading to the United States this month. In the UK this week, the Honourable Andre Ebanks is meeting with government and civil service officials, attending a Cayman Finance Roundtable, and speaking at the Maples London Investment Funds Forum before meeting with EU and EU member states on Thursday and Friday. A busy bridge in northern Vietnam has collapsed in the wake of Super Typhoon Yagi, plunging 10 cars and 2 scooters into the Red River. At least 3 people have so far been rescued and 13 are missing after the bridge collapsed. It's unclear if there have been any deaths. Part of the 1,230-foot structure is still standing, and the military has been instructed to build a pontoon bridge as soon as possible. And 2 women who say they were raped and strangled by the controversial social media influencer Andrew Tate have spoken to the BBC about their experiences. Another woman has alleged for the first time she was raped by Mr. Tate's younger brother, Tristan, also an influencer with millions of followers. The brothers, 37 and 36, currently face charges in Romania of human trafficking and forming an organized group to sexually exploit women. Andrew Tate is also charged with rape. If found guilty, the 2 men could be jailed for more than 10 years. They strongly deny the charges against them.
More news available at www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Check out our social media pages: Facebook, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, Radio Cayman Headline News.
The Health Services Authority would like to thank you, the Cayman community, for voting us the Best of Cayman Islands 2024 in 13 medical categories. As the largest and longest healthcare provider in the Cayman Islands, we have been caring for you for many generations, helping the people of our islands live longer, healthier, and happier lives. At HSA, we are committed to caring for you. For more information, visit hsa.ky or call 949-8600.
When it comes to weekly meal prep, I trust Kirk Market to provide the best value for quality proteins. The butchers at Kirk Market are super helpful. They always slice my steaks perfectly. Kirk Market has everything I need for healthy and flavorful protein-packed meals. From lean cuts of CAB choice beef, tender CAB prime beef, the juiciest pork, and all-natural hormone-free poultry, to their seafood section with everything from fresh local snapper to omega-3 rich salmon. I choose Kirk Market for the highest quality proteins to support my healthy lifestyle. Kirk Market. Eat well, live well, and discover a world of choice.
For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. If you're just joining us, we have the pleasure of having Minister Sabrina Turner in the studio with us this morning. For those of you who may not know, she is constitutionally responsible for health, wellness, and home affairs. We're the ministry really this month is embarking on a program recognizing Hurricane Ivan 20 years since, discussing the past, the present, discussing how grateful we are, and also discussing how resilient we have become 20 years since Hurricane Ivan as well. This person has written and said whether or not I could ask or ascertain why there has not been a prioritization of the government to ensure that we have built more flood-proof shelters after Hurricane Ivan. I think before you answer that, I would just add that we have a tendency to overestimate the number of people who actually utilize the shelters. Most people want to stay at home. If they have built properly, they feel that their structures can withstand, a category 3, 4, even a category 5 hurricane. Those that find themselves in vulnerable areas will batter up their properties, either leave the island or maybe take refuge in a shelter. But we keep hearing calls for more and more and more shelters, but the data that we have doesn't really point to the fact that we need more shelters.
You're quite
Your
right.
view.
It's a good observation. I don't have the granular details for stats, but I can actually dwell on the focus point of the root of that. Why isn't it a priority for this government to ensure that, there were more shelters being built? More shelters being built doesn't mean that it was not a priority or that it wasn't at the forefront, that we realize that there is capacity shortage when we look at the numbers. Hence why discussions were held with employers, the big companies, to see what they had in place to assist in providing shelter for even their staff. And that, from what I have been told based on the meetings that we have been in, headed up by Danny and a number of other persons who are responsible for looking at capacity, you're quite right. A lot of the people do not use the shelters. And that is why sometimes they're opened even late, because persons would prefer to remain at home. They would prefer to go to family members' residence, then go to the shelter. And we noticed even this time at the Prospect area, it was only until really later on in the night, because I was there till must be minutes after 11, that we saw persons coming in, and that's because of what information was being dispensed or conveyed, and they looked at what was happening in other jurisdictions with rainfall and so forth. So many people actually make the decision to go to shelters after the fact. Now, whether or not the Cayman Islands have enough space that we could shelter everyone, no, we do not. That is not a secret. How do we go about addressing that issue is exactly what we have begun to put in place to identify shelters that they are grade A, see where we can bolster that up to deal with our people, try to get as much persons off the island as possible, including that of tourists who are visiting our shores, and for those big companies who have a large amount of employees, that they do the right thing and take care of their staff. But to say that it is not something that is topical and it is not at the forefront of the government, I would not say that that is not the case. But we have taken it from a different approach and bolster up, making sure that what shelters we have in place are actually up to code to withstand some of the highest impacts. But you're quite right. A lot of times the people do not take up the shelters.
One of the other things that we want to talk about is our gratefulness, being grateful.
Yes.
But before we go there, this is a little bit off topic, but it does relate to your constitutional responsibilities. It says, can the minister say, is the separate public health conducting preventative campaigns for lifestyle diseases like diabetes and hypertension?
The public health side?
Yes.
The public health works in collaboration with the ministry, and there have a number of campaigns that are coming out. Now, for me to be specific on lifestyle public health issues, I cannot honestly, hand over heart, tell you what campaign that they're working on, but it is not something that we're shunning away from, at least not as your minister. And I feel that that is important to get out there in the public's domain. That's what public health is, to making sure that all lifestyles, anything that could become a public health risk, that persons will actually be informed and educated, and there's enough information in circulation out there to keep our population safe. But to say right now, if I'm aware that there's an active campaign in regards to lifestyle and public health, I could not honestly answer that right now, but I can research and I could check it out and get back to you.
Okay, and while we're at it, this has been shared with me. Are you feeling overwhelmed, sad, stressed out, or suicidal and need support? There is a public mental health helpline. That number.
K-Mind.
Yes, that number is 1-800-534-6463 as well. And their punchline, their motto is, it's okay to ask for help.
Yes.
It is okay to ask
Mr. Connor,
for help.
I'm happy you actually say that. So many persons right now are going through so much. Societal pressures, what you think family members will think, your children, you're just trying to be brave and stand strong. Other people's perception that many of people have imprisoned themselves because of societal pressures. And we need to understand that we have to be here for each other. And this is why it's important to know and to have easy access of resources like K-Mind that you've just articulated and promoted here. Thank them for all of their volunteers. That there are people that you can go to. It's not like people see you bad because you sit down and you talk about your stresses. A lot of people are shouldering a lot and just need an outlet. Just need, not for you to say, here's $1,000. I got you. Some people don't even want to hear your feedback or for you to say, this is what I would do if I were you, or this is what you should do. Some people just need to get it out and to know that they're getting it out. It's a safe place. You wouldn't be viewing them as anyone less. And societal pressures right now is what's really burdening a lot of persons. But there are help out there. I'm quite sure that there are a lot of friends who your ride or die, someone that you confide in who wouldn't see you any less. But it's okay. It's okay to cry. It's okay to be vulnerable with that trusted person. That could be the one call or the one conversation that actually saves somebody. And it doesn't become this end all be all, like, you know, the worst case that we're seeing where suicides are up.
Now, I note here that there and they provided their hours, Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. to 11 p.m., free and confidential support and guidance on your emotional and psychological health.
Correct.
But why only until Fridays? For some people, the pressures are on the weekends. They may be alone on the weekends as opposed to during the week where they're amongst work colleagues and things of that nature.
To be honest, that has been something that has been talked about, and I don't want to speak not coming from an informed place, but this is something that has been voiced because it makes it appear as though people can only be vulnerable between Monday and Friday. Some people don't even want to go home after 5 p.m. because the environment is that heavy. They wouldn't mind if they would stay at work. But the fact that this resource is available, and I know that they are working on expanding that, possibly 24 hours. There are other groups as well that are discussing, but we don't want to have a fragmented approach where you have all of these persons offering the same services, and almost look like you're competing against one another. But this is something, if not about to be addressed, has been rectified or is it coming to an end of being rectified for 24 hours. Again, persons will be updated once these hours and 24-hour service is available. But I know behind the scenes, they are working at getting a 24-hour hotline and even a hotline for younger persons should they feel the need that they need to reach out to somebody. But that was glaring. Why only Monday to Friday? When in fact weekends, long weekends, the holidays are fast approaching. We know when that some people are at their lowest because they remember their loved ones. You reminisce about the year. But we really need to have the real talk about mental health here in the Cayman Islands. And I'm thinking now, and I'm seeing, based on feedback and conversations being had, that people are a little bit more open to discuss it and are no longer stigmatized or ashamed to speak when they're at their lowest.
Okay. We're going to go to a commercial break. When we return, we want to get to the subject of gratefulness. And we know that after Hurricane Ivan, there were many hands that were reaching out to assist us, as well. In some cases where we expected the help to come from, it wasn't readily available. But we did get lots and lots of help. And I will place an asterisk on this, that those persons who now criticize the government of the Cayman Islands for the assistance that we have offered to those countries that have been just recently been impacted by hurricanes, who are critical of that. Yes, I get where they're coming from in terms of charity beginning at home, but that doesn't mean that both can't be done, at the same time. And aren't we supposed to be our brothers and our sisters, keepers and maybe our cousins?
Yep.
First, second, third cousin, fourth cousin, adopted cousin, whatever as well. So we want to talk about gratefulness when we return. Folks, don't change that dial. Some of you have been sending WhatsApp messages in. Please continue to do that as well. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
The DVDL Customer Support Unit is now open. Customers can book appointments for written and driving tests through DVDL's hotline at 945-8344. That's 945-8344.
There you go, sir. Thanks for choosing JN Money Transfer.
Boy, thanks to JN Money Transfer, I can stay right here in Cayman and pay Mama bills back home in Jamaica. Her water, light, phone and other bills never late. Every month I pay everything in one place.
Make payments to over 30 companies in Jamaica through JN Money Transfer. Fast, affordable, convenient. Call 1-800-744-1163 for details.
Accidents and illnesses can strike without warning. Ouch! When it comes to urgent care, every second counts. At Doctors Hospital, we have a dedicated team of experienced doctors and nursing staff available to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Don't waste time in an overcrowded emergency room when you need urgent care. Whether it's a broken bone, a severe infection, or a sudden illness, trust in Doctors Hospital's unwavering dedication to providing the best immediate care. For complete urgent care when you need it the most, choose Doctors Hospital, located in Georgetown, 16 Middle Road.
When it comes to weekly meal prep, I trust Kirk Market to provide the best value for quality proteins. The butchers at Kirk Market are super helpful. They always slice my steaks perfectly. Kirk Market has everything I need for healthy and flavorful protein-packed meals. From lean cuts of CAB choice beef, tender CAB prime beef, the juiciest pork, and all-natural hormone-free poultry, to their seafood section with everything from fresh local snapper to omega-3 rich salmon. I choose Kirk Market for the highest quality proteins to support my healthy lifestyle. Kirk Market. Eat well, live well, and discover a world of choice.
For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. If you're just joining us, we have Minister Sabrina Turner in the studio. As you know, she's responsible for health, wellness, and home affairs. We're talking about Hurricane Ivan 20 years on, the past, the present, the gratefulness, the resilience as well. One of our listeners has written and said that they wish there were more female MPs. The minister is very empathetic, and engaging. She allowed me to meet and discuss a solution to my child's school issues. She isn't even my representative. God bless her and others as well. So person is extremely appreciative, and they obviously feel that female women have a much better ability to be empathetic than men. I would challenge.
No, that's a different show. But no, thank you to that person for their kind words.
Yes.
And I think that people look at this role. Once you're elected to office and you are serving everybody, understanding politics is local, and I just understand that. I used to hear it, but I'm just understanding it. The vehicle and how we, just going off, I digress for a little bit. The people of Prospect, in my case, has given me the opportunity to represent. But once you're elected, it's not only Prospect you represent. Mm-hmm. You're representing everyone. My constitutional responsibility as the Minister of Health, Wellness and Home Affairs. There is no politics when it comes to the safety of our borders, with the responsibility of our prisons, our fire, our 911 people, the cadets, the regiment, and then you're looking at health. You're looking at our DEH crews. You're looking at our mosquito control unit. you're looking at HSA and all healthcare providers for the Cayman Islands. So tell me, understanding the critical infrastructure and what that plays into the public health and the life and well-being quality of life of our people, that I should put politics in this most noble role. Constituencies mean nothing to me when it comes to my constitutional responsibility. And I am more than happy to help where I can. That has been in me from day one. But going back to being grateful, as a jurisdiction, the Cayman Islands is not only uniquely placed, we are a set of people that we will give you the shirt off of our backs once we know someone is in need. But for far too often, who we are, our very own culture, is almost taken for granted by ourselves, from ourselves. And I don't think people realize that that's one of the unique things about us. Here we are. I can go and I can push my cart in the supermarket. Hi, how you doing, Mr. Connor? Oh, see, you can separate the roles from just coexisting amongst your peers. Because remember now, being an elected official is for a time. But at the end of the day, one thing never removed from that is that you're still an individual who have to be in society after your term. But the gratitude, as you go back to where we have given assistance to our neighbors, hearing my colleagues around the table who were in this role or elected to office during Ivan, what stories have been shared. One of the first jurisdictions that reached out to the Cayman Islands were our brothers and sisters in the Bay Islands of Honduras, right there in Roatan. That speaks volumes. Of course, others reached out based on relationships that have been built because you're in your elected role. You go away on different courses, you go on different conference, you go to other different things, and you build relationship with other leaders. And it's just one thing unique with us Caribbean people. It happened when I was in the UK in March. For some reason, we gravitated to all other Caribbean people. And that one trip, and the only trip that I've made to date since being elected to office in 4 years, yes, besides going to Cayman Bracken, unless you want to call that international, but it was amazing. So. Yeah, that's okay. It was amazing, the relationships and bonds that I made with the gentleman there from St. Lucia and Jamaica. The representatives, their delegates. It is just something that it's a magnet that brings us together.
We have so much in common.
Exactly. But the Cayman Islands has to be grateful. We have been a blessed jurisdiction where financially we are in good standing. And the blessings, we say we are founded upon the seas and we're built on the rock of that solid rock of that man above. When our brothers and sisters are in need, what's wrong with giving assistance? Because we don't know when it's our time. It doesn't necessarily have to be a hurricane. It could be an earthquake. It could be a tsunami. I'm quite sure they may not be able to give us in the volumes that we have, but what does saying go? One cocoa, full basket. And it's the relationships that you build during your tenure that will help us all survive as brothers and sisters regionally. And this is why it's important for us to not forget where we're coming from. And when we can, to assist our brothers and sisters who are close to us, near to us, because we never know when we're going to be the ones receiving. But there are relationships that have been built. And like I said, you will be interviewing other members of my colleagues this week as we reflect back on the impacts of Ivan then and now, how we have rebound. And I'm quite sure they would be able to elucidate much more on the personal experiences and definitely to validate what I've said. But from what stories I've heard, not being a member of government during Ivan, that Roatan, the Bay Islanders, were the first that really got stuff. And I know for sure that I had family in Utila who sent up stuff for my family on the boat. And I also had a friend in Jamaica when there was a private plane that came up through my dear friend, Miss Ursula. And my family, we survived on rations, you could call it. But we were so grateful for that during that time. So it is amazing. You don't throw the water behind you because now today you're up. You never know when you're going to be down, and you're going to still be looking at our brothers and sisters for help.
Certainly. This person, this listener makes this observation and a question. Can the minister say what is being done to ensure that we are getting the numerous derelict vehicles out of the communities that can become additionally dangerous debris during a hurricane? Many owners of these vehicles do not want to give them up, but they do not intend to do anything with them, as so they are more of a nuisance. What can government do to ensure that these vehicles can be moved, if even by forcing the owners? Should we be putting in place covenants to ensure people keep their properties clear of what could be flying debris, as well as housing of rodents? And then they go on and say, additionally, with all the litter in our environment, the wind either blow it more into the environment or into the sea by water and winds. But more so the vehicle problem, because we know how many thousands of vehicles were damaged, immobilized after Hurricane Ivan. And, we went through a program with that
to remove them from the island.
To remove them as well. We have even more vehicles on the island now than we had then as well. And that story about people keeping them in their yard, if they were even keeping them for parts, you wouldn't feel too badly, but they've bought a completely different vehicle that they can't use the parts.
I am smiling right now because if my family is listening to me, this was a conversation that we had just on Saturday night. So they say charity begins at home. I hope my family is listening. Move the cars. Anyhow, there is a behavior, Mr. Carter, that has creeped into our society, a culture that is not Caymanian. And it's one thing of what legislation and processes that are in place for the director of DEH, Mr. Richard Sims, and his staff to legally remove these derelict vehicles once they're not placed where they're obstructing traffic, obstructing a line of sight coming out of a road, or outright where it's been deemed to be an infestation of rodents. Yes, to projectile. But, sir, the cultures and behavior that has crept into our Caymanian society, that onus and responsibility is for everyone to keep their personal surroundings safe. They cannot say that as your Minister of Health responsible for DEH have not put the necessary resources, grapple trucks, to be able to remove these derelict vehicles. But tell me why people have to be so nasty to keep their surroundings so unsanitary. This is a public health risk. We can do all of the PR in the world that we can. People need to be responsible. Landlords need to hold their tenants responsible as well, and not just leave it on the government. The beautification, the culture of who we are as Caymanian people is not what we are seeing today. And it's going to take a collective approach from those who are joining us, who are invited guests for a period of time, to leave certain practices and behaviors where they come from. But collectively, the operational arm of government is doing all we can within the confines of law, and that responsibility of removing these derelict vehicles. If DEH has to take it, there's a process. It's reported. You have to label it. It has to be there for X amount of days before they can legally remove it. And once it goes on that landfill, there's no return. If it is a case where it's obstructing traffic, let's say an MVA, and it's on the side of the road, then the police have more enforcing arms. So it is two government agencies to deal with it. One would say, well, you're the minister, you're the government, change the law. That can also be done. But what I'm saying is how they're getting there in the first place. People need to be responsible, and certain behaviors and practices need to stop, because this is not who we are. We constantly hear in residential communities that there are garages popping up left, right, and center. In the event of a hurricane coming, we've seen the way in which they even dispose of their garbage is not who we are. I have driven through communities, and it is a shame. It is a shame. But just like how you would take care of your own surroundings, you have to look at it from a 360. And the government, I'm being very honest with you, Minister Bryan and the Beautification Committee, coupled with the DEH and everybody, we are trying to get our country back. But I'm going to be honest, how they take garbage from one location, even removing vegetative matter from one location to the next. We need more policing, we need more enforcement, but people need to be responsible as well. And it can't all be borne on your elected arm. Everyone has a responsibility, but the culture, the behavior must be addressed, and that's everybody's business.
Okay, we're going to take a commercial break. We have a caller on hold, but I'm going to encourage that caller to please send comments or questions via WhatsApp 925-3261. For the record, and the discussion with Minister Turner will continue after this commercial break, so please stay tuned.
Did you know that you can send money transfers to financial institutions anywhere in Jamaica with JN Money?
You mean I can send money straight to my account and cut out the middleman?
Yes, that's exactly what I mean. You send your own money to your own account, giving you peace of mind that the money is in your account.
JN Money Transfers to Financial Institution is another convenient service offered by JN Money. You can have this done from any JN Money location. Deposit your money straight to your account without the hassle of asking someone to do it for you. JN Money Transfers to Financial Institutions, making life easier.
You can now renew your driver's license or motor vehicle license online, and you don't need an ESID number. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3. Visit www.dvdl.gov.ky.
When it comes to weekly meal prep, I trust Kirk Market to provide the best value for quality proteins. The butchers at Kirk Market are super helpful. They always slice my steaks perfectly. Kirk Market has everything I need for healthy and flavorful protein-packed meals. From lean cuts of CAB choice beef, tender CAB prime beef, the juiciest pork, and all-natural hormone-free poultry, to their seafood section with everything from fresh local snapper to omega-3 rich salmon. I choose Kirk Market for the highest quality proteins to support my healthy lifestyle. Kirk Market. Eat well, live well, and discover a world of choice.
For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, Minister Turner, who is responsible for health, wellness and home affairs. If you have any questions or comments related to the topic this morning, which is Hurricane Ivan, 20 years, we're discussing the past, we're discussing the present, we're discussing our gratefulness, and we're discussing how resilient we have become since Hurricane Ivan. Minister, we had a question about the vehicles, and the car crusher, metal crusher, was one of the came to the Cayman Islands as a result of Hurricane Ivan as well. Do we still have that in place? Do we still have the ability to ship metals off the island, as well?
From what I understand, yes, from the operational arm, that still continues, and even the processing of metals. Understanding, again, not going into the ISWIMs, but that process for how we deal with the metals is still ongoing and will continue, from what I have been made aware of. And that was a good thing that you all implemented, because we had to do something with all the vehicles that were just totally written off, some submerged, and if I wouldn't be surprised if there's still some not on the seafloor right now, based on where you were living during Ivan. But yes, that was an excellent kudos to all of those persons who made that call at that time to get rid of all of those vehicles, because we were really in a mess. Cars were in place. You couldn't touch it because adjusters had to come out. And the cleanup exercise to get rid of those vehicles was extended because of the very same reason.
Yeah,
but good call for the administration at that time.
And we had to provide incentives to the private
Correct.
sector, for, I think we were paying, $50 per vehicle or something like that, each vehicle that was picked up, as well. Yeah.
Yeah, but we really do have to be grateful, Mr. Connor, in all honesty, and moving forward as a jurisdiction. The Cayman Islands have so much to be thankful for. The mere fact that we have a democratic society that works the way it is, even how you look at how your elected leaders actually engage and are accessible. It is so different from other jurisdictions. And these are some of the things that persons who are allowed to be here to live and share what we obviously take for granted, love us for. We just need to be appreciative and grateful for what we have, that so much people are sought after, and we're taking it for granted.
Yep. One of our listeners has written and said, "Good morning. I hope you..." They just tell me about the week. I don't have to read that. Very, very great show this morning. Not only does the minister have the gift of gab, but she is very knowledgeable, intelligent, eloquent, compassionate, all of the above. I hope that everything will go well for her, and may God bless her and her family and keep them all safe.
Thank you very much for that, contributor.
Yes.
Thank you for your kind words and support.
Okay.
Yes, we're almost there, Mr. Connor, and I got a bolt.
Yes.
Duty called.
Yes. I think we if we could talk some more about the resilience in terms of our physical resilience, mentally as well,
yes.
And what we have in place, what we're likely to have in place, but we have some more WhatsApp messages are coming in. I just want to make sure that these
when we look at resilience and we look at the role in which the regiment plays now and all of the government support in the type vehicles that they were able to secure, and you look at the continued type of training with even our Coast Guard and what resources we have been able to give to them, the different things that we put in place, the breaking down of silos, the more cohesive approach in tackling. Look at even NEOC. Remember, you recall back that the command center used to be at the fire station. And you're looking at that now being at our government administration building. And we have so much what they call clusters as a representative representing each industry, like our supermarkets, our health, our mental health. Then you have the uniform service. You have our emergency services. You have all of those clusters right there. It's amazing where we have come to. Then you got the names, this app that you can download on. Well, one will say, what if I'm not smartphone savvy? Always go back to the radio, where we are. Once we're able to be on the air, Radio Cayman is always there. All you need is your batteries. So to say that the Cayman Islands is not or have not improved on infrastructure to be a more resilient, I think we would be really too hard on ourselves as a jurisdiction to say that we have not. That governments past and governments now, the civil service servants in guiding the governments to make sure that we address and put the necessary funding where it needs to be, looking at our infrastructure, dealing with still stormwater management, which is still a topical issue, that it would be unfair to say that we have not actually shown or going in the right direction of addressing these should it comes, and then continued MOUs and partnerships will be the key of Cayman's survival and sustainability, to be honest with you. It's the culture. We are different, and that is why so much people are attracted to our jurisdiction, because when we carry down and talk down our own, some countries are actually envious of what we have. But, because it comes so common and so easy, you don't know what you got until you go someplace else.
Now, in some of the WhatsApp messages that are coming through, the topic of vehicles.
Yes, sir.
And one writer mentions the Windsor Park area as well. And it seems as if most of the vehicles that are being talked about, they're on private property, and you mentioned that before. And the resounding message coming from each, or the refrain coming from each writer, has to do with the need for legislation to address those issues. Okay. And I would just add to that to say that our environment forms part and parcel of our Constitution,
Correct.
as well in the protection of the environment. So that would be one reason if we have to introduce draconic
measures
to
or
do
approaches.
so simply because we want to protect our environment.
Yeah.
And in the event of another Hurricane Ivan, it would certainly alleviate some of the issues that we would have to address as well.
Yes, sir. Well, definitely anything legislative that needs to be addressed, I am definitely one to actually, I'm willing, prepared, the policy team, put it there, put it out for public consultation. But in all honesty, this has been a cry for a while for that piece of legislation to be addressed. And until it actually is done, we still need the operational arm to carry it out. Now, to say that we have enough boots on the ground in order to make that a reality, this is where we need, as you rightfully say, in that contributor, the buy-in of the persons who are causing the accumulation of these cars to be there, that is becoming a public health nuisance, harboring rodents. They don't just put themselves there. So we need to look at ourselves, look at our neighbors as well. It doesn't have to be so confrontational that it becomes a civil unrest. But we have to make sure as a government, when we send our civil servants in there to remove because we see it, that we're not breaking any laws as well. So it is a measured approach, but we want to make sure that everything that we do is definitely in accordance to law. But I can understand the frustration because we have it all over the island. But more and more that we keep beating this drum, that the responsibility begins on even those who start the problem itself, and it's not, and it shouldn't be just borne on the government.
One writer has and listener has mentioned the food stands at the public beach, and they talk about the fact that that's something that needs to be looked into. I don't know whether or not there are sanitary facilities on the public beach.
They have the washrooms, but I mean, for food handling, that's a total different thing. I will bring this to the attention of DEH, who's responsible for food handling, so that maybe they can go out there. But, you know, again, we would need people. Once you get these licenses and you do the necessary training, you would expect them to uphold the terms and conditions of that license. But if we've got people coming out there rogue, we know, Mr. Connor, back in our days when we were immigration, that we had the influx of persons selling food in the back of their car, remember?
Yes.
We did a couple immigration enforcement things actually for that purpose. The enforcement arm of it really should be beefed up, but you would have to be out there policing these people 24/7 to do the right thing. One will say, well, the minister doesn't know what she's talking about. A man have to eat. But don't come with that mentality. Go through the proper channels. You don't want persons to get sick and then we overburden
and
our healthcare. I can understand the whole line of a man have to eat. I'm not doing that because you got to do what you got to do to survive. But do it legally and safe.
And you take pride in what is yours.
Correct.
But if what you're doing and where you're doing it, you don't feel that it is yours, because your drive and your ultimate goal is really to make money, to get what you can,
the bottom line,
from these islands,
and it's reckless.
That is what we're going to.
That is what we're not tolerating, to be honest, because it's not right for someone to be following the law, go and get their necessary license in compliance, make sure that they're handling and food is kept at the right temperature, they're wearing their gloves, they're doing it above board. And then you have someone who just have this mentality of, well, I gotta do what I have to do because I have to put food on my table, and just, no, that's not who we are. And it's not fair to everybody else who's doing it right.
Exactly. Okay, we're going to take our last commercial break, folks. Don't change that dial. Please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
You deserve a unique vacation this year, one with easy non-stop flights from Cayman. Cayman Airways offers more non-stop flights to and from the Cayman Islands than any other airline. Now you can add Panama and Los Angeles to your travel bucket list. Skip the hassle of connecting flights. Panama is just a 2-hour non-stop flight from Cayman. And Los Angeles? Get there in less than 5 hours non-stop aboard Cayman Airways. Call 949-2311 or visit CaymanAirways.com to book your Los Angeles or Panama getaway today.
West Bay Pharmacy in Centennial Towers, a compounding story.
I don't think people realize how pain creeps into your life. It has a way of robbing your strength. I really don't like taking prescription medication orally.
West Bay Pharmacy in Centennial Towers. They understand.
When it comes to compounded medication, it's personal. So whenever there's a problem with some medication or treatments that's not working right, then a physician will call me and say, hey, they're having bad side effects from this medication.
Compounding pain cream changed the game. Made special for me. Significant pain relief in the form of a cream. That is a new experience for me.
It's changed his life.
It worked.
Ask your pharmacist or healthcare provider about compounding at West Bay Pharmacy in Centennial Towers. Call 914-6449.
Did you know that Doctors Hospital provides urgent care services 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? And Doctors Hospital's urgent care physicians have access to the most advanced MRI and CT imaging in the Caribbean, providing reliable diagnostics when you need it most. When you need quality urgent care for an illness or injury, Doctors Hospital is here for you 24/7. Whether it's a migraine, chest or abdominal pain, shortness of breath, broken bones, or another urgent need, Doctors Hospital at the top of Walker's Road. Urgent care right now.
At Kirk's Home Center, we can make your life much better. We got it all together. We got a great deal in store for you. From cookware to stereos, from power tools to plumbing supplies. Yeah, we got the best goods with the best price and a service to make you smile. At Kirk's Home Center, we got a great deal in store for you.
For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We're on the last leg of the show this morning with Minister Sabrina Turner. We've been talking about Hurricane Ivan, 20 years since. We'll be talking about the past, the present, how grateful we are, how resilient we are since Hurricane Ivan as well. Minister, we also, another hot topic that we touched on, has to do, with garbage and everything else. Yes. And this person had two suggestions in relation to how we can address it, and say suppliers like A.L. Thompson and Kirk Home Center and others should sell bin lids separately from the bins because they get broken or more quickly. Every apartment or on a property should have its own distinct garbage collection area, and this should be provided by the owner of the property. I believe this is legally required in most places. But again, and there was a pilot program in relation to the bins. Where are we with that, and how close are we to standardizing that throughout the island?
Throughout the island, a big ask. The pilot project that was put on by DEH in regards to providing dumpsters or garbage receptacles that can be lifted by the actual garbage truck is on its end phase, and I think they're at the process. They're at the beginning. They're at the stage now where they're gathering all of the information to actually yield or to communicate what that pilot did. And I'm being honest, a lot of people were calling saying, I want it, I want it. Where we're trying to get into the practice of you're only putting the garbage can, the receptacle that is provided to you by DEH out at the road on collection day or the night before. Once your garbage is collected, you remove that garbage can and you put it beside your house and not at the road, because we're realizing we've had different variations of how persons store their garbage for collection. And we're trying to get away from that, where it was actually exposed to the feral cats, all the chickens. If we provided the bins for you with lids, and it doesn't matter, they come on wheels, you roll it out to the side of the road. Let's say the Tuesday night, if your garbage is collected on Wednesday morning, you pull it out from Tuesday night, it's collected. Once you come back home on Wednesday evening, you pull it back up to your house. It speaks volumes. It isn't exposed to the cats, dogs, chickens, and it just makes your entire community look better. So I'm gonna get an update from Mr. Sims in regards to that, because this is something that definitely I know that they were procuring based on the early data that's gotten back, and based on the amount of acts of persons saying, I want to be a part of that. Each receptacle has a serial number that links it to your location. So you can't move my garbage can and go put it in Bodden Town, for example, and expect it to link to your house. You understand? Because I want to be a part of the program.
Yeah. And this is only for private homes, right?
Yes, for residential homes. What have been yield from that is that some on the outside that looks like it's single dwellings is now apartment complex.
Yeah,
so it's amazing the data that this pilot exercise is bringing out, and I'm excited to get the results. But people are eager to really be a part of the program because they've seen the positive impacts that it is having. Yeah. Going back on the recap for the fact that I'm here this morning, Mr. Connor, thank you so much again for inviting me to discuss Ivan 20 years ago. My God, it seems so far back, but yet it still resonates with us today. One of the great things, and we were talking about the impact it had on mental health, one of the biggest outlets in recovering or just getting through life after Ivan and even during the storm was the mere fact that people could call into a radio station and hear a live person. And you could hear the cries, you could hear the Radio Cayman was broadcasting and all of that. And then you had other stations as well, afterwards, and we started to gradually recover and rebound. I think there was one called The Blackout Show on Kenny Station, Vibe 98.9.
Okay.
Our late Jazzy B, he had that. And I mean, it's amazing the stories. That was a way of healing. That was a way of people just reliving, but knowing they were getting it out. So understanding the power of media, understanding that what you hold in your hand as a host in times of when people are so nervous that, we have a voice that we can actually connect to. It's somebody that we know. And when you may feel that you may be sheltering alone, you can just pick up the phone and you can have a conversation whilst you may hear the whistling winds, the pounding rain. You're not alone. And what is that doing for us mentally is amazing. And that is so unique with us here in the Cayman Islands, because that provided an outlet for so much people. Just being able to call in a radio station to air, that was also a part of healing. But indeed, it was a pleasure to be here, and I will reiterate the fact that as your Minister of Health, Wellness and Home Affairs from both ministries, I am comforted in knowing that what mechanisms we have in place now, the memorandums of understanding, agreement that we have with other healthcare providers, the resilience that we have built in, the addition of the regiment, what we have trained our firefighters. We now have the Coast Guard. We now have the cadets who are also very active in NEOC. And you're looking at making sure that our most vulnerable are taken care of, even those in the prison for the training that they've had. I am more comfortable at this stage.
We have now,
all of that. I mean, we're in a good place, and we have to be so proud of being Caymanians, understanding where we're coming from where we are, and just look at our neighbors. You would be surprised how much of them are saying how envious they are of us.
Yep.
So when you think it's bad, oh no, check our neighbors. They wish that they were us in many times.
Yep. Glass recycling. Somebody wants to know about that as well. So
what I heard from Mr. Richard, that is still somewhat going on. Now, whether we can use that and incorporate that into some products, I think there were some private companies that some more discussions, which will be in the hands of the civil servants to do. But anything to recycle to keep as much litter out of our landfill as we can. You have a minister that will support it.
Okay, excellent.
But it has been a pleasure being here. I thank you for entertaining me. It's not that we didn't want to take calls, but it's amazing the amount of information that we were able to actually get out. We tried to address as much WhatsApp messages that we've received, and I hope that I was able to at least satisfy all of those contributors who had queries and concerns, even if it went off a topic of what we were talking about, Ivan. But from what I'm understanding, other members of other of my colleagues will be doing an interview like this with you as we reminisce and reflect as to where we are as a jurisdiction 20 years ago, as we celebrate or reflect, not celebrate. We have a lot to be celebrating, to be honest. Reflect back on Ivan then versus now. But it is always a pleasure to be here with you, Mr. Connor, and to engage with our listening and viewing audience here in the Cayman Islands.
Okay, I'll share a few more WhatsApp messages while we still have about 4 minutes left.
You're holding me to 4 minutes.
So thank you, Minister Turner, for your fantastic job you are doing at the Health Services Authority. My recent visits compared to back in 2010 is as different as night and day.
Wow.
Well-educated staff with good manners and love for the job is what I see and experience now. Financial assistance to other Caribbean countries, we should not be giving gifts. We should be making investments in those Caribbean islands. They are all self-sustainable from agriculture point of view. We are boasting some of the most dollars should be wise and not foolish. Okay. They tend to support that. I disagree, and I think you, Minister, even though I don't purport to speak for you, but I disagree as well, because while they may have agricultural products and stuff, if they're hit by a hurricane, those agricultural products have been impacted. Their crops have been adversely affected by it. And when people articulate like this, sometimes it says, and I'm saying sometimes, not necessarily to this person, but it says to me that sometimes those persons, if they had excess, if they had the ability to help others, they would hesitate, from doing it by saying, well, you have, your land is fertile, even though you don't have the seeds to plant and stuff like that. But, thanks for the kudos to about the Health Services Authority, even though we disagree when it comes to rendering assistance to others.
To the board and the senior management team and all of the staff at HSA.
This person says we need education in the field of recycling, because we do have some recycling centers, but some of them are horrible as people use them for garbage and other debris disposal. We need to start fining people for illegal dumping. It's funny that, again, one of the other things is people believe that by higher and stiffer fines that we will get more results, but not necessarily. And then it says, this one says, government needs to start a real recycling system with putting the bins for each item in front of each house. Each
that is a part of the pilot
like
as
I saw
well.
in South Carolina when I visited there. Well, I can tell you more about South Carolina because we have a house in South Carolina, Greenville, South Carolina, specifically Travelers Rest. I have bags of each item that I take them to the bins. But where are the recycling items going?
These are some of the topics that came up as well. And again, these were all discussions where would it be a day where you just put out all of your glass bottles? Will there be a day where you just put out your cardboard and then regular household waste that is not, for composting or so? So it's not like it's not happening. I know that the team at DEH is more than willing to embrace this, but it also needs the buy-in of your leaders, and that has not been something that we have shunned away from, at least not myself being the minister here in support of my colleagues. But there's only so much you can do in such a short period of time, and oh my God, how 4 years go by so quickly, understanding that this administration pretty much for like a year and a half was inundated with trying to get us back open. I know myself as Minister of Health from day one, I was just burdened down with COVID regulations, not making any excuses. But of a 4-year term. It's only been the past year and couple months that I could say I had the ability to focus on other issues under my constitutional ministerial remit. But I'm grateful for the team. I'm grateful for my HSA staff, the board especially, and everyone who has come together, who sees the vision, understands the quality of people accessing healthcare and how important it is that we treat everyone equal and that healthcare is access to everyone. I am proud of the work that I have seen versus where I've received it and where they are now, and only greater things to come. And I have all hopes that it will continue to improve.
Minister, thank you very much. I know that you have a 10 o'clock meeting as well. I want to thank all of those who participated again this morning. And what does it also prove? That if you send your WhatsApp messages in, we can address your issues. We can share them with our listening audience and our guests as well. And not only that, we have more time for you to hear from our guests that are in the studio as well. Don't forget to join Sterling Dwayne Banks at 12:15 for Talk Today on Wednesday. We will have more about Hurricane Ivan as well. And of course, Wednesday, the 11th of September is a very important day, significant day, historical when it comes to Hurricane Ivan as well. Have a great day, and as usual, we ask the good Lord to bless these three beautiful, wonderful Cayman Islands.
For the Record, proudly brought to you by
Brand Source Home Gallery, inspiring luxury, and JN Money.
From abroad to yard.
Fast, affordable, convenient. Doctors Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctors Hospital, always there for you. Call 949-6066. And Cayman Airways. Call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama. And Kirk Market. Experience a world of choice.
This is the People's Radio Station. Radio Cayman in the